Well, Corey, James Harden has at least shown up now. He's in Houston. He's gotten a COVID test. He's starting to go through the protocols, but he's still pushing for a trade out of town. He still wants to go to Brooklyn. Look, he expanded that now. He's willing to go to Philadelphia. He'll listen to any contender, even if the market's a little dry for him, which is what I keep hearing. I mean, what do you think of all this? What's been your impression?
I just don't understand. I know he wants to win, and I know that you look at the history of recent championships in the NBA. You spend 7-8 years a place, you can't really figure it out, so then you team up with superstars to win a championship. I understand it's the blueprint for the 2010s and even the late 2000s, but I just don't understand this move because where would he go? Where would he go? When you look at the things that the Rockets are demanding, in return, or at least their asking price, it's a lot. It's like franchise cornerstone, young talent early on rookie deals, a boatload of first-round picks. Which teams can even offer that are contenders? And I don't know if there's a big list.
There's a really small list. I mean, Brooklyn, frankly, can't unless you consider Karis LeVert an anchor. And by the way, they don't have a ton of picks. Philadelphia is the team that comes up because you could throw Ben Simmons in, right? You could Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, maybe Shake Milton, and some picks, but Philly actually wants to see what they've got. Like, I keep hearing Philly's like, no, man, let's run this season. Let's see what it looks like. Now, if they get to the deadline and they're 9th in the East, maybe it's a different story. But right now, they're kind of like, no, we're not throwing all of this future up for James Harden, who, by the way, can walk in 2 years. Like, if you're getting him, you've got to find a way to make sure he's extended. And by the way, Corey, when a guy's not showing up, off partying with little baby in Atlanta, then showing up in Vegas at clubs very publicly, like, are you comfortable bringing him in this situation?
It's not a good look. But I think, when you're looking at what he turned down a $50 million a year extension. So obviously money is not the issue, right? Obviously he wants to win. And you're right. The question becomes now in the current NBA is if you're looking at these superstars who have all the leverage in their court and they're going to get paid regardless, and they don't really have to stay at a team, they could go to a place for a year or two and then someone else will pick up the contract. I mean, there's almost no repercussion for the top 6-7 guys in the NBA. They're almost playing a different game. Yeah, it really kind of does bring the question, what are you willing to give up for a guy like James Harden with no guarantee from his end? And I don't understand that kind of prospect. The only teams that come to mind that could get in, you think about like the Celtics, but I don't think their organization would do that. I just don't think that's they're a very smart organization. I don't think they'd give up like a Kemba Walker or like a Jaylen Brown, like that.
It would be Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and picks. And
that's what I'm saying. Like you don't do that. And then I'm thinking even there's just no other team. So from my perspective, I think the best move that everyone can do is just wait. Wait and kind of like you're saying with the 76ers, figure out like, do we have something special here or is it time to move on from the process? Maybe you throw in Tobias Harris. There are other options that down the road, but even the Rockets understand, if a good deal comes up, just like with Russell Westbrook, we'll take it. But there was that time for a couple of weeks where they weren't even talking, that the agent forced the conversation. So I think it's going to be the same situation in Houston.
Yeah. Houston's got no rush to trade Harden. He's got this was his mistake. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's got also, he comes off as the bad guy. Remember when Anthony Davis did this, Rich Paul stepped in front of him and kind of took the bullets, right? Like, oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm pushing for this. Anthony Davis is just showing up wanting to play. Harden hasn't had that guy, and it just doesn't play well.
Yeah, and I don't think James Harden really cares. I think he's just about the game of basketball, and I don't really think he cares about anything else. But as far as like the media and all, like the perception. But it's just a really tough situation. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're bringing in John Wall. You want to see what happens in Houston with James Harden and John Wall, but is it going to be a holdout situation? Does James Harden not play? And then, so this is something that I'm very curious to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, Corey, the other thing coming up with the start of the season over at Pro Basketball Talk, we're going to have right before the season starts, our power rankings come out, top to bottom, all 30 teams, 1 through 30. But we're going to preview the top 10. I'm going to give you guys, we'll just go through the preview and talk about these teams in the top 10. And at number 10, to me, Corey, the hardest team to place on this list in the top half anyway, I don't know what to do with the Golden State Warriors. I just don't.
What do you mean you don't know what to do? Put them at the top.
If they'd be higher with Clay. obviously. Without Clay, and now it's the Steph Curry show with a lot more James Wiseman, and Wiseman is missing time because he's got COVID. I'm less worried about Draymond missing some time. I'm just like, if you told me that they were the 4 seed at the end of this, or 3 seed, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. They could. MVP Steph Curry showed up. If you told me he missed some time due to injury and things just didn't go right, and they missed the playoffs, yeah, that could happen too.
But what about Kelly Oubre? You don't think he'll be an immediate impact?
I think he's solid. Look, I think Kelly Oubre is a good player. It's just the drop from Kelly Oubre to Klay Thompson is steep.
I mean, yeah, Klay is one of he's amazing.
That's the problem. The problem is you're going from an all NBA level player to a quality rotation NBA, like solid starter. Like, I don't want to knock Kelly Oubre, but Klay Thompson's a whole different level. And so I'm just not sure where to place them. By the way, teams that confuse me, number 9, Philadelphia 76ers. That's another team where, like, we've got to watch them, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. The 76ers, once again, we talked about this before, cautiously optimistic. They have a lot of great pieces, a lot of great talent. The question is, can you unlock it? It's like a Rubik's Cube, Who has the right formula? And I hope that Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey can do it. But yeah, I mean, they have. And one of my favorite things about the 76ers, though, is their draft pick, Tyrese Maxey, coming out of Kentucky. He is a dog. His mentality is great and perfect for that team because Doc Rivers said it, I think, best after a press conference. He's a guy you can have immediate impact out of because he's a defensive guy who will scratch and give you everything you need right off the bat. So I really love that pick. I'm excited to see them.
I think Philadelphia is going to be one of the more interesting teams out there. One of my favorite teams to watch is at number 8. Like, I love watching Luka Doncic. The Dallas Mavericks are going to be fun. They didn't make any huge, like, massive off-season upgrades, but they've got the cap space to do it should, I don't know, hypothetically, someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo become available. But, I mean, they've set themselves up to make plays next year. But nonetheless, Luka Doncic is going to be better. I mean, he's only in his 3rd season.
Luka. I have been on this Luka bandwagon train for, man, Luka is so special. So yeah. I can't wait to see Luka continue to develop and evolve because in my mind, it's going to be Luka's league in a little bit, and just like Giannis is the cream of the crop right now, give Luka a few years and it's going to be his league. To me, it's just not even a question. So I'm really excited. And I think they have, because Kristaps is out till January, which is kind of unfortunate because I'm excited to see them 1-2 punch because that's what everyone's holding their breath for, right, in Dallas. Dwight Powell's coming in and making some nice plays in training camp. So hopefully they'll be able to kind of hold off while Kristaps is out. Yeah, I like Dwight Powell too, but he doesn't space the floor like Kristaps. There aren't really bigs who do that. And by the way, are big enough to still defend inside. So that sets them back a little bit in the rankings at the start of the season and why they're 8th and not higher. It's kind of the same with number 7, the Boston Celtics. That's frankly probably lower than they'll end up at the end of the year. But remember, right now, they do not have Kemba to start the season. I mean, he's out with recovering from the knee surgery. But they did lose Gordon Hayward, and they didn't replace him with anything. And, we could get into the whole trade issue, but the bottom line is you lost a guy who could play and was a solid starter for you and is gone. Whatever you think of Gordon Hayward, you didn't really replace him with much. Yeah, I think with the Celtics – I'm telling you, I think, first of all, I think they're a brilliant organization. I think they're one of the best run organizations in the NBA. But when you think about when Kyrie was there, right, and this is something that I like, it was almost like addition by subtraction with that team. You had all these great players, but then you let Jason Tatum have more of a role, and Jaylen Brown emerged, and they kind of took over. And when you started moving pieces out, you got, Al Horford left, Kyrie left, now Gordon Hayward left. And then it's almost like the team got stronger in a weird way because you had the personalities, a little more room to operate. And I wonder if it's going to be like that too now with Gordon Hayward being in Charlotte. Who else is going to kind of take that load? Is it going to be Marcus Smart? Where does Kimba's role kind of expand? I'm very curious to see where the Celtics go forward from here. I am too. I think that, look, more Jason Tatum's good, right? More Jaylen Brown is good. Like, I think that they're going to be there. I think there's a little bit of a bump at the start of the season while they quite figure it out. But eventually, I think they're one of the teams that can come out of the East. I think everybody in the East has some question marks, but they're one of the teams right there at the top. And I just think they're going to start a little slower. But thinking about starting slow, this next segment is a brand new segment, and it's the exact opposite of that. These are guys that maybe started off slower in their career, or you didn't know who they were, But now is the time to jump on the bandwagon. So this is the new segment, Hop on the Bandwagon. Guys that we haven't seen since March that we're excited to see and that you should put on your phone background right now. These are guys to look at. Me, I have 2 picks, Kurt, and I want to throw it to you. 1, Taco Fall. Keep it in Boston.
I love it. And on the, not a two-way player this year. He is up on the team, man.
And then the bubble was like they love Bobo and they love Taco. Taco to me though is a really fun player. I think I love this like Boban Marjanovic kind of like Boban's a unique player generally. I mean, he was in John Wick. I mean, he's an actor. He got killed by Keanu Reeves in John Wick. Like, how many NBA guys can say that? But like Boban, Bobo, Taco, all the 7'3" guys who are fun, big personalities, and next level. So to me, like that's kind of my hop on the bandwagon. What about you, Kurt?
Yeah, by the way, Boban might be my favorite human being in the NBA. Just the nicest guy in the world. And just, you know what? He can play, but a lot of guys are so serious in the NBA, and this is their craft and this is their job, and I get that. And Boban's going through this like, man, I cannot believe I get to live like this. This is the best thing ever. He savors every minute of it, and you just love to see that. For me, you could go a lot of different directions. I'm not going to put Steph Curry there. I'm looking forward to seeing him, but Steph Curry's bandwagon, probably big enough as it is, right? I'll throw Trae Young out there, though, in the Hawks. That's probably the team I'm most excited about. I miss watching Trae Young play, and now they've got Bogdanovich around him, Gallinari around him. Remember, they got Capella to run pick and roll with him. Like, I think the Hawks are going to be must-watch television this year, and Trae Young is going to explode offensively and have a bigger year. So I'll put him on the list. I know he's like a fairly famous player already, but I think he explodes to the next level. We just haven't seen him in a long time. They finally got talent around him. This is going to be his coming out party.
Yeah, and I mean, Trae Young is so much fun to watch. I remember when I was watching Steph Curry, when he first started playing, and I was like, he plays a different game. It's almost fun to just watch him just do his thing. He's dancing, he's chewing on his little mouthpiece. To me, Trae Young is the same way, where it's just fun to watch Trae do his thing. And for me, the guys, all my picks were bubble picks, but I want to say the guy I'm excited to see since March is Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
He won, like you said, I know you love his hair.
I'm just jealous. Let's be honest.
He has great hair. But then he also is just fun. When Chicago needed a spark, who would they turn to, right? Zach LaVine every single game was putting up crazy numbers. But when they needed a spark, it came off the bench, and his name was Kobe White. And he was a slasher. He made big plays, penetrating. It was fun. I mean, it was I think he captured the imagination of a lot of Chicago fans. And in Chicago, that's a tough city. I mean, you think about people who capture your imagination, you think about some big names. So I think Kobe White's going to be an exciting thing for the Windy City moving forward. I
love watching him play and getting to the rim. And you're right, man. You've got to be tough, but that guy just goes in and gets to the rim and finds a way to get it done. And as his game grows too, I think the Bulls are going to be fun to watch too.
Yeah, and right now, the way that I saw Kobe White this past season was almost the way that I saw Patty Mills, for the Spurs, were similar hair, by the way, but just like a spark of energy where this guy just loves the game, coming off the bench, will do anything, waving towels, making threes, making plays for you. And now this upcoming season, Kobe wants to become the guy. And you can see that in his mentality in training camp. So he's definitely someone to watch. But that wraps up our hop on the bandwagon segment. I'm excited to see more down the road, Kurt.
I am too, man. I can't wait for this season to start.